Well, Northwest Indiana, the region, is a cultural melting pot, a very diverse and unique place, different than any other in Indiana. It is a city and a region with rich industrial heritage, one that is in transition. Northwest Indiana is the second largest regional economy in the state. Lake County, the second fastest growing economy in Indiana. And there are signs around the region of economic momentum. In Hammond, the Lear Corporation moved into its new $30 million plant this year. Also, the Sportsplex is attracting thousands of visitors to that city. The Stadium District has been a focus in Whiting. And the Ileana Whiting LLC, a division of Holiday Properties, continues construction on a new 5-story multi-use building at the former Ileana Hotel property. In East Chicago, the city gearing up for a major $40 million senior housing project. And the $4 million Fitzsimmons development opened this summer as well. And in Valparaiso, grants are funding some 14 neighborhood projects throughout the city. Everything from streetscape improvements to do playgrounds, tree plantings, all adding to quality of life in a city that has also experienced a redeveloped downtown. Well, welcome back to this special edition of Inside Indiana Business from Northwest Indiana, coming to you this week from the Mascot Hall of Fame in Whiting. Well, since receiving national park status, the Indiana Dunes National Park saw its highest visitor numbers ever this summer. The park consists of some 15,000 acres along the southern shore of Lake Michigan. And when the visitation numbers of both the state park and national park are combined, the Dunes ranks 7th in the nation in terms of visitation. In 2018, even without the national park designation, 3.6 million visitors came to see the Dunes. And with more on how the Dunes National Park is doing and what it means to the region's economy, pleased to welcome back to the show Indiana Dunes Tourism Executive Director Lorelei Weimer. And Lorelei, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having us back.
Yeah, and it's you've been busy.
We have been very busy.
A lot of attention. The Dunes, and I think we should start with that because even before this national park designation, the Dunes was such a treasure and such an asset, not only to Northwest Indiana, but the entire state. Give us the thumbnail description for those around the state, maybe who have not been to the Dunes, and what an amazing place it is.
Well, first of all, we're situated on Lake Michigan, which is a great lake, and a lot of people in Indiana don't realize we're connected to the Great Lakes. And then within the Great Lakes and Lake Michigan is the Indiana Dunes, which are a beautiful area. And we have another thing that a lot of people don't realize is we do have the national and the state park. So the state park is actually surrounded by the national park, and there's different access points. And one of the things that we're really known for within the Dunes is the biodiversity, the beach experience, and our hiking trails.
Yeah. Well, this is billed as the birthplace of ecology, right?
That is correct, and I think that's one of the gems that people don't realize. National Geographic said that we're the 7th most biodiverse place in the nation, and the reason for that is we're the crossroads of 4 different climates in this area, and that's what is causing the biodiversity. In fact, we just learned that we have more plant species and animal species than Yellowstone National Park, which is over 2 million acres of land at Yellowstone. So that just tells you this gem that we have in Northwest Indiana.
Well, and things really escalated in terms of the high-profile nature of the park with this national park designation, 61st national park in the country, first and only in Indiana. That happened in February. Talk about what that has meant for visitation.
Well, it was a huge pleasant surprise when we learned the name change in February. So we didn't know what to expect, had a lot of questions about visitation, economic impact, and our first response was we don't know. But around April, we started to realize that at the Visitor Center, which is the official Indiana Dunes Visitor Center, which is our organization and the national park together, we started seeing that visitation was increasing. And just to give you a perspective, our average visitation, which is July, which is the busiest month of the year for us, we average around 20,000 visitors a year. This year we had 42,000.
Wow. This is part of a very, very important part of the economy, and that's tourism and hospitality in the region. And one of the interesting stories I see developing too is the prospect for a cruise ship, right, to actually make a stop here in the region in Portage. Talk about where the idea came from and what the prospects are.
Well, you know, we were approached by the Northwest Indiana Forum, and they've been a part of some Great Lakes initiatives. And one of the things that started 20 years ago is cruise lines on the Great Lakes. There are only 2 states that are connected to the Great Lakes that do not have cruise ships coming, and that's Minnesota and the state of Indiana. Duluth is close to having their own cruise line, so that will leave Indiana as the sole state. So our organization is working to bring cruises to Indiana, and they would be coming to the Port of Indiana, which is in Portage, Indiana. And then it is our job to come up with itineraries and tours that they would be excited to get on a bus from the ships and go tour our destination. And that's what we're working on right now.
And in terms of going forward, looking at ways to leverage that and to help really spread that impact throughout the region?
Yes, and so that's what our goal is that we know that dunes is the hook. It's what really identifies our destination, and it's what drives visitation. But once we get them there, we want them to have a great dunes experience. But then we say shake off the sand south of the dunes, and we've got to get them into our community, because that's our communities, because that's where the real spending takes place.
Executive Director of Indiana Dunes Tourism, Lorelei, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us again.
We'll look forward to having you on the show again.
Great, thank you. Take care.
Okay.